Welcome to another Devils Down Under episode. Thank you so much for everyone who joined me in last week for my first video on YouTube. All the comments and support and everything has been great. What's happened with Manchester United this week? Few developments, not much. Basically, Man United still hasn't signed anyone. As we were alluding to last week, not much has changed in that front, but there have been developments. Ongoing developments as we've experienced over the last few weeks. So, the developments are obviously on De Jong, Malacia, I got his name correct this time, on poaching him from Lyon potentially, Anthony wanting to come to us, Ten Hag's first week training. So, the players finally starting to get the cobwebs off from last season, and there were a lot of them, considering how we played last year, and preseason tour not too far away. So let's get into it. So welcome back. It's now Friday the 1st of July, and Man United have gone the whole of June without signing any players. We're still in that watching waiting phase as we discussed last week. Not much has changed that front, but there has been a few exciting developments in that front. So firstly, let's just get the transfers out of the way. So transfers wise, De Jong, first one. It seems like Man United have reached an agreement with De Jong. I think the fee was somewhere along the lines of £56 million, which for all accounts, amazing value for money in that regards. With guaranteed fees, obviously add-ons, I think comes to about 16, 17 million pounds. But £56 million up front, took us 9 weeks to get there. But it seems like Barcelona are happy with that. I think that goes in accordance with, I think they activated their first lever. So they've injected another £200 million into their club by selling 10% of their media company or something. So with that gone, obviously they can get deals over the line. And I think they get more of the value back from the transfer as opposed to 20% of it for their financial issues that they have going on. So I could see the deal being dragged out to that, but it does seem positive that things are moving in the right direction, and that's coming from multiple sources now as well. The other one was exciting. We talked about him a bit. I couldn't get his name last week. I finally got it. It is Malacia, the Dutch player from Feyenoord. It seemed like Lyon had snapped him up for a reasonable fee. But Manchester United seem to have swooped in now that we have our set fee that I think we're going to be paying for De Jong. So we kind of know how much is left in our transfer budget. And we've got him for a reasonable fee of £12 million. Now, if that is to believe, that is awesome business for Man United. And I do congrats Murtog on that. But, it's not actually signed yet, so we don't actually know what's happening with that. But look, if you do combine those two combined does give a nice £69 million figure, which is a nice wholesome number on many accounts. Which leaves us, if we do have that £120 million budget, still got another quick math, £51 million to spend, and obviously with a few transfer outgoings, it looks like Pereira is about to leave. We could have another hopefully £70 million to spend in the transfer window as well. So at least it looks like things are starting to develop in the transfer front. The other transfer news that have happened in the week, I think it looks like Ajax is still holding out on their players now that they haven't. So Martinez, I've got his name down packed as well. I had a few stuff ups with those ones last week, but as I finally got there, takes a few weeks for me to acclimatize to names. Anthony is the other one as well. Now, in regards to Anthony, I see him, I think we need him, but I still would press for a centre-back more. But with Anthony, obviously, we got that right-sided player who was left-footed that we've been crying out for quite some time. So it's kind of, what is our budget? And can we make a deal happen for Anthony as well as a defender? Which does look like what Man United are trying to do, because I don't think they would have gone for a fullback unless they could get a defender. But in saying that as well, Man United saying they're not going to go for a defender until they offload some of the deadwood. So your Phil Jones, Eric Bay, yes, he hasn't been given a chance, but he's always injured. I want someone a bit more reliable, because it seems like Varane is injury prone as well. So if we can ship him off, get about even if it's £10 million for him, I'm all for it. We need change. They're not going to be. I say they're not going to be. Phil Jones has been here for 10 bloody years. Thank God he rejected his testimonial because he thought it would be embarrassing. But yeah, I can see this happening a lot with Man United. So hopefully there is a bit of a change in that, and we do start offloading some of these players that aren't going to be good enough and aren't good enough for Manchester United. So yeah, back to it. So Anthony is the player that we're looking for in that right wing position. Now the reported fees are all over the place. I think initially in the window we were looking at about £40 million, £45 million for Anthony. But obviously we were saying the developments last week, Ajax don't need to sell anymore. It seems that they want to sell them for like about £80 million, which is for Eredivisie player. I mean, yes, Frankie de Jong and stuff went for £65 million and stuff like that, but wanting £80 million for a person who's had one good season is bloody ridiculous. Everyone knows, as good as Ajax are, they're in the Dutch league. They are a stepping stone for greater things for players. Yes, they'll get regular first team football. They'll get regular Champions League. They'll always get through the knockout stages, potentially. But it is a step up. It is a league that players use to step up. And Ajax know that. They're a selling club. They get players in. They develop them. They're very good at scouting them, very good at developing them, and selling them onto European clubs for big fees. So should Man United really want him and the player wants to leave, I think we can get him. Hopefully around more so the 50 million mark, kind of a little bit over what they were wanting a few weeks ago, but we'll wait and see on that. Now, the other interesting one is Martinez, the defender from Ajax as well. Arsenal seem to be in negotiations with him. They've put in a few bids, and it seems like Man United, depends on how you read the reports that are coming through. Some reports are saying, oh, they're not in for him. They're using it as a bluff to try getting Timber. Personally, I don't see Timber happening as much as I'd love to see Timber at Manchester United. He's a player Ten Hag trusts. He's got a very high ceiling, and I'd love him to be at Manchester United next season. But I just don't see the fees involved with that and trying to get Anthony happening in the same time. Martinez is an interesting one. Yes, a good player. Not great, still young, obviously. From the YouTube videos I watched of him, he seems to know his thing. So he's just, we're waiting to see what happens with him in that. But I don't think Manchester United are really in for him. I think it is a smokescreen for another defender. But obviously it all depends on what our budget is for the remainder of the transfer window if we do conclude this De Jong and mental blank, Malaysia deal. So we're moving on to that, but I personally still want to see Torres. Martinez is 22 years old. He's as good as he is. I still see him to our senior players of Maguire, Lindelof, Varane, being a backup player to these guys. Yes, he may be versatile, but I don't want versatility anymore. I want players who are fit for their role, and that's what they do for Manchester United. I don't want to see this makeshift players who can play left back, play centre back, play defensive mid. I just want specialists in our position, because this juggling things around putting things where they don't belong is not the way forward for Manchester United. Pau Torres, obviously a lot of experience at senior level, playing in the Spanish division for quite a number of years now, playing in Champions League, playing really well in the Champions League, obviously testing himself against the European elite, and has looked very good. Now, personal preference, I'd take Timber over Torres, but as I said, Timber looks like a hard deal to do. Torres looks like he's ready to move on. Nothing's really been reported in the last week or two on the Torres front from what I've seen, but he's someone that I see, he's 24, 25 years old, can replace Timber, can replace Varane and Maguire's partnership, break that up and have Varane next to him from the outset, and shift Maguire to the bench, reserves, wherever you want to play him, morale booster. Do whatever Mike Phelan was doing for Manchester United last year, which was, I'm not sure what Mike Phelan was doing last year, but he got a paycheck, so I think that's what Maguire's doing currently, and I'd love for him to. He's not going to be our captain next year, so I don't really care what happens to Maguire. He's had his time, and he's disappointed me more times than not last year. So he can move on. But yeah, I'd love to see Pau Torres step up into that role, playing alongside Varane. I see that being a very good combination. Both quick, both good in the air, both strong on the tackle. We can play that high line that Ten Hag wants to play. But let's see what happens on that front. The other one that we're basically waiting on is hopefully we're going to get a decision soon. I think the Brentford manager came out saying earlier this week that, last week, that Eriksen's going to let him know within 2 weeks' time, which is coming up to the end of this week, I think it is, on his decision on what he's chosen to do. So hopefully we'll get movement on the Eriksen front soon, whether or not we get him. Now, the only thing I can see stopping him coming to Manchester United is first team football. He's 30 years old. He's gone through a lot. Family, life, and health-wise, mainly the health-wise, but obviously it affects his family. So well wishes to him, obviously. And he's done amazingly well to get back to where he is. But I think he wants to play football. He's been given the second chance. And I don't see him wanting to come to a club and wanting to be a bit part player on the bench. He's 30 years old now. He's in the last few years of his career. Didn't think he'd actually have this a year ago. So yeah, if he chooses Manchester United, from the conversations he'd probably have with Ten Hag, I don't see him being a bench player, but it would be good to see what he could bring to the team. Obviously fighting with Bruno Fernandes for that spot. Him and De Jong next to each other, I don't think would work. Too many attacking-minded players. We're still lacking that defensive player in the midfield. But let's see what happens on that front. Obviously, no reports on Manchester United going for a defensive player in the midfield. I'd love a defensive-minded player, as we said last week. McTominay, Fred, and not just me, hundreds and hundreds of other people online have said it as well. They are nowhere near good enough for what we need in that defensive thing if we are going to play the progressive football. Discipline-wise, positioning-wise, not what we need to play next to someone like De Jong if we get him, which is obviously looking very, very likely at the moment, the way things have progressed this week. Now, after last season, obviously we're saying we need new players, and we've gone through that multiple times now. But so Ten Hag has finally came in this week. The players have started training. The quote that came in from one of the senior source players, as reported on the United Report via Melissa Reddy, it said, one of the senior players from Manchester United describes Erik Ten Hag's first week of pre-season training as intense, not just on the body, but on the mind. He wants you to think. Thank God for that. Our players can be the most physical players in terms of athleticism, Marcus Rashford and players of that ilk. But if you don't have a football brain, what's the point of playing professional football? Yes, you can go play professional football, but go play that down in Brentford. Manchester United needs more than just a physical specimen. We need players who are smart on the ball, good on the ball, as well as athletic as well. So seen a few of the training videos. Nothing to get excited about, but we didn't really get this with Solskjaer in terms of a lot of it was always stand in a circle, let's do a rondo, pass the ball and keep the ball off two players. There were passing drills, zigzags, Ten Hag shouting at players saying they've got to work harder. Bloody exciting to see. I don't think the players have had this kind of coaching. Obviously last season, Marcus Rashford came out Faye's intermediaries came out saying that they were not challenged by the training of Solskjaer's regime. So it's quite refreshing to see, and this is what we knew about Ten Hag. He's a perfectionist. He's told them to cut the grass to whatever 0.5 mils. That's how much of a perfectionist he is, because he wants that ball to move slick along the ground. And there seems to be a lot of passing and running drills happening so far. So he says he doesn't really just want to build up the physicality, he wants to build the mind up. So I'm all for this. Manchester United, we got players like, as much as I love him, Bruno Fernandes gets the ball, looks up, soon as he sees an opportunity, shoots, doesn't try to look for the next best thing, doesn't think, he sees goals, shoots. Same thing, Marcus Rashford cuts inside, shoots when there's a better option to cross it or pass it. Same with whoever plays on the right-hand side. Ilanga's been doing okay. He does whip a few crosses in here, but he's not. I don't think he's a first 11 player, especially on his current ability. Could get there, but not at the moment. So seeing this thinking patterns that are hopefully going to start transpiring on the pitch for Manchester United is quite exciting. It is what Manchester City, Liverpool, and even Arsenal really. Obviously, Arteta, Pep Guardiola, tiki-taka. Work together. So that is, so it's looking that we may start playing this fast ball movement as opposed to hoof the ball long, and hopefully our players with speed can break the defense down from behind, which would go with what Ten Hag's trying to do, obviously playing in their half in the final third and passing the ball around to create opportunities. So obviously week 1 not completed fully, almost done. But yeah, we'll see how things transpire. Obviously, the senior players are all back next week, and hopefully we have a signing or two to complement them on their arrival next week before we take... Because where are we leaving? We leave for the pre-season tour for Liverpool on the 16th of July. Is our first game against Liverpool. I think that's in Singapore. And then obviously we head over to Australia, my home country. But yeah, so... 16th of July is our first game. What's that? 15 days from now, 2 weeks. Obviously, you've got another week of training before we head off overseas for the tour. It'd be nice to have a few players in and about to integrate into the team. Obviously, the later and later we leave it, they'll need to integrate into training, and I don't think they're going to start the season. So it'd be nice to get these players over the end of financial year is done. Well, not for America. They run January to December. So the money in the coffers in terms of saving money in the bank for interest, not really. It's the end of the month. Glazers can now spend the money, hopefully. And we can get a few players over the line. But yeah, hoping we can get a few signings over the next few days. I'm not hopeful over the weekend. It would be a nice surprise. I'm thinking there we go again. Malacia before De Jong. And then hopefully an Anthony or a Torres... I'll take Martinez if we can't get Torres, but he's not my first preference. But we'll see what the Man United transfer department of Murtog and things can. And the new guy we got, I can't remember. He's the brother of Michael Keane or something like that. See what they can whip up in the next few weeks. But yeah, so that's it for for this week. Hopefully Manchester United gets a few things going, and we actually make a few signings in the next couple of days before the pre-season tour, so we get to see these new players in action. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.